you.
Hi, my name is Tracy Liz Miller, and I am the director of Men on Boats.
I'm Christina Metz, and I'm the stage manager.
My name is Douglas Clark, and I'm the scenic and costume designer.
My name is Jamie Arakis. I'm a third-year MFA candidate in the performance design program, and I'm the lighting designer.
My name is Esteban Armenta, and I'm one of the co-sound designers.
My name is Daniel Nishimura, and I am the other sound designer.
My name is Lila Perkins, and I play Frank Goodman.
My name is Selena Flores, and I play the character George Young Bradley.
I'm Bree Ralston, and I play Andrew Hall.
I'm Riley Johnson. I play OG Howland.
My name is Amelia Huo, and I play William Dunn.
My name is Rochelle Dart, and I am playing John Wesley Powell.
Men on Boats, written by Jacqueline Backhaus, is one of Arizona State University's main stage plays for the Herberger Institute School of Film, Dance, and Theater. The production began work back in the fall semester with auditions. It is now March 2017, and Men on Boats is set to open. This documentary hopes to give a glimpse of the work that goes into producing a show here at ASU.
This piece, there's a lot of movement, and they have to carry their boats. They have to carry their boats over their heads. They have to, capsize in them. So movement was very, very important, and so all the clothing being able to allow range of motion and durability. They're wearing knee pads, so everything had to allow them to move and just really allow the momentum of the piece to continue and not be hindered by the costumes or anything else. So they all have their own, quirks or personalities, and so there's a little bit of that you see through color or the items that they wear. And just how I kind of stretched each one of them in their own little direction. The process and start talking to the director and everything, that's when everything kind of takes off. From the very get-go, the desire would have been in the Lyceum, a smaller space. This piece was originally created and has been produced in smaller spaces, and we were then given the Galvin, which is so much larger, and so the challenge was, how do we transplant this play in the way that it's structured to a larger space, and then how do you create a sense of intimacy in the Galvin, and also create the sense of grandeur and just scale that is the Grand Canyon. How do you tweak or be able to have things change to depict that? So, for example, I have a drop that's upstage center that as they get deeper into the canyon, it flies up and creates the sense of them being deeper and deeper as they get further along in their journey.
When I get a script, the first thing I do is obviously just read it as a script, if it's something that I'm not familiar with, just to acquaint myself with the story, the characters, the arc, the message that the playwright is trying to convey. And then I go through, after I let it sit for a little while, ruminate a little bit, I go through it and mark specific moments that I think are important. Each show, in my experience, has been different. It all depends entirely upon the directing style that the director comes in with. Different directors work differently. You'll have directors that come in and say, this is what I want the play to look like. This is my vision. How can you help me execute this? Great. These are the things that we can do. Other times you'll have directors come in and say, I don't have a very specific vision of, like, aesthetically what this looks like. What ideas do you have? What things have you come up with? Asked to the design team as a whole. And so it really just depends on how the director approaches the play. There is a giant ceiling piece over the vast majority of the playing space. And so what that means is there's no real top light, no real down light, which is limiting in and of itself. There are also these giant walls that go up, which limits the access to side light. And that's why we have the two dead hung positions inside, which from a physics standpoint severely limits what we can do. So it's been great because the set is gorgeous, and it's provided a lot of really interesting challenges for me as far as determining where I can put lights to hit everywhere.
I just finished working on Feathers and Teeth last semester, and Steve was like, hey, how about working on Men on Boats next semester with Esteban? I'm like, that sounds cool.
Yeah, I had just finished doing a show at inside the Lyceum Theater as well when Steve was like, we need to get you prepped for next semester. And he was like, I'm going to put you on 2 shows. You're going to do Titus Andronicus, and then immediately right afterwards you're going to go into Men on Boats, but you're going to be doing it with Daniel, so it'll be a cakewalk for you two. And so we kind of both went at it from there. Production meetings were simple. It was just a matter of setting boundaries for who does what at the very beginning stages, and then kind of just went from there.
I give it an initial read just to, figure out what's it about, just enjoy it, get the story. Then when I go through, I look for obvious things, stuff that supports the action on stage, doors closing, men on boats, lots of water. And then subsequent read-throughs look for more conceptual stuff, things that support, not just the action on stage, but the themes and, what the director's vision is.
Our first take on it was we wanted to go with traditional, like, exploration music or whatever. But then the director came up to us and she pitched the idea that it's very, like, a punk rockish experience for all of them. And from there we stemmed out and we found a lot of, like, really hard female driven rock bands, and so that, like, aids the music for a large part of the show. And while we might have been a little timid at first, thinking, how does exploring the Grand Canyon scream punk rock? But once we're in here, it really comes together, and this show really does scream punk rock. And so it took a lot of fiddling around, a lot of drafts, and a lot of figuring things out before I was just like, this is where we need things to come from. We're telling 2 separate stories, the stories of them and their world, and then what's getting translated to the audience. So that kind of resulted in a weird, we have our front of house speakers, but then there's also speakers way back in the deep side of the set that, like, creates the world for the actors to play in.
From the initial production meeting, designers work round the clock to bring the story world to life. Before rehearsals begin, designers spend weeks piecing together the design elements. From initial to final designs, getting everything on stage is never smooth voting, but always comes together in the end.
Stage manager is the hub of all communication. So basically, I would come into rehearsals, I would make sure the rehearsal room was all set up and good to go. Then actors would come in, we would get them warming up, I would monitor times to make sure they were getting appropriate breaks. Write down blocking, I write down any notes that we need from designers, I communicate that at the end of every rehearsal in a rehearsal report to designers. A whole long list of wonderful stuff. There's a lot of paperwork, but there's also a lot of just communication and making sure that each idea is communicated and put across to the appropriate people. One aspect I enjoy doing live theater is you get to see the drawing from, like, the first, like, production meeting that you have with designers, and then when you get into tech week you get to see that drawing come to life. And our set is pretty accurate to about the first couple renderings of what we had the set designer bring in.
We really did start from, like, ground zero and work our way up. Obviously we have a fantastic set, and our movement, our, like, character choices, they're all so rich and full of life. I'm really excited to show everybody what we've done.
I really liked the idea of getting down and dirty, of playing essentially a man, but representing that women can play too, and we can play just as rough and just as hard.
Last week over spring break, we all went up to, or the 6 out of the 10 of us went up to the Grand Canyon to actually, like, see, like, the adventure we went on. And it was so cool because one of the stops is called, like, Powell's Stop, and there's, like, a little memorial thing at the top, and it, like, has some of our character names on it. And it was so cool to, like, be excited about it, because I don't know about you guys, but for me, like, history was never, like, my favorite subject. So, like, actually being excited about the Grand Canyon, I feel it was just, like, so much fun, and, like, being surrounded by these people, these amazing women, was, like, so great.
From the first table read to, like, tech, there's always changes that are happening. You know, you make new discoveries as characters, and this week especially, like, right now is my particularly like favorite time of like the rehearsal process, right? Because you have all the technical elements coming in. You have lighting, you have sound, you know, the set's finished, you have boats, you have props, and so it's just my favorite time because you just see all of the beautiful elements of theater coming together to make like that theater magic.
The combination of the Arizona story that's significant to where we are, and then the unique casting criteria that the playwright Jacqueline Backhouse set down, where it has to be other than the white cisgender males that did this historical journey. And on top of it, it's a really fantastic story, fun script. It had successful runs in New York and Chicago, so to me that says that it was going to be of a pretty good quality in which to work with. We want them to have a really great time, first and foremost, and we want them to enjoy this unique way of telling this story. And if they come away thinking about history and why we tell it the way we do and why we may have told it in our country differently than how we are examining it today, that to me will be a tremendous bonus on top of it all. In addition, how great was it to see 10 women do this story and for them to look for other possibilities to support female-driven performances, which I think would be marvelous as well.
I would have to say that just the epic nature of it, the action and story of these individuals, and just creating a fun environment for that to take place in.
There's a song all about whiskey, which is just entertaining.
I want people to laugh at my sounds.